Here's the thing about running an accounting firm, or just about any service business, really. You get started doing just about anything that someone will pay you for. That's how everybody starts. Whether you're a brand new firm, or actually whether you're a person in a mature firm managing client work for the first time, everybody starts by saying yes to just about everything before it eventually evolves into saying no to more things. And the inevitable result is doing a whole bunch of different things differently for different people. That is actually the natural progression of service delivery. Without a system for this, it is unavoidable because clients will ask for different things and team members will deliver the services differently. There's this natural sprawl to it where it all becomes more different. But how do you scale that? And how do you standardize that to build systems around it so that your team understands how to do the work? The solution, a service library, an explicit list of services you provide to clients and well-defined service levels of all the different ways you deliver those services. So think payroll, service level 1, service level 2, service level 3. Think tax prep, think bookkeeping, think receipt management. Service level 1, 2, 3. We recently spent a week digging into this on the podcast. I'm gonna give you the short version today. But the main thing you won't want to miss is we made a massive resource you can swipe. There's a link in the video description, a service library template that can serve as your starting point. Not a menu of services that we're gonna stand up for our clients to see. I don't generally recommend that. Rather, an internal system for managing all the ways that you deliver your work. Now, there's a number of benefits to this. Number one, just to stop the sprawl, the natural sprawl that happens when anyone in your firm has permission to deliver a service to a client however they want to. Because our primary focus is on the output, the final result being correct, oftentimes we don't pay enough attention to how our team gets there, which means they're gonna get there 100 different ways, and then every engagement, how the work gets done becomes unique. But a funny thing happens when you develop an explicit service library. When your team has a vernacular for the things that you do, once it exists, the opposite happens. Your engagements start trending back toward the norm, back toward the thing that you do for 7 other clients, because it's easier to do that for an 8th client than it is to create a new way to do it. Simply by the system existing, the problem gets better. Second reason why you need a service library: to simplify the process of building SOPs, standard operating procedures. The reason we suck at SOPs and why these are monsters to maintain is because SOPs are traditionally built at the client level. You build an SOP for every client on everything that you do for them. That is a lot of freaking work. When you instead have a service library that identifies what services you do and at what levels for their clients, you can instead build SOPs at the service level. And it means the next time you add a client that is bill pay 2, how do you know how to do that work? You go look at the bill pay service level 2 SOP. You don't create a brand new SOP for the entire client engagement. Now, those two big things, arguably the biggest problem with accounting firms, lack of standardization and lack of documentation, those 2 reasons are enough to do this. But the third reason, it is the cherry on top, the fact that getting explicit about your service levels enables upselling. For any given client, all the things that you're doing for them, each of those services, in all likelihood, there's more that you can do for them. And the clients don't understand all the benefits of what that next step up looks like. Why you should do a second tax projection each year in the summer. Why bill pay 3 is better than bill pay 2. And they don't understand this because what we're delivering for them is kind of ambiguous. You just stumbled into it. And that's the beauty of defining this stuff, is now everything that you do for a client has a linear progression to something more, something even more valuable. So not only you, but your entire team gets an understanding of what that next level looks like and can clearly explain it to a client, put marketing materials in front of them so that they know they have options and they can move up. When the client complains that maybe they didn't have something that they needed, when you're doing annual renewals, you got a clear upgrade path now. Again, this isn't a menu that we stand up and let them pick and choose from, because I know what my client needs, in all likelihood better than they do, but it gives us a clear path forward, upselling each of the services that we provide to clients. Now at this point, hopefully you're convinced of the value of this, but what you're probably stuck on is like, yeah, but how do I do that? Tell me more about the mechanics. I'm gonna share the system that I used to do this in a 2,000 client firm where we prided ourselves in being pretty white glove, pretty flexible in the things that we would do for people. Because I would argue we do need to remember our place in the ecosystem of accounting and tax services. As small firms, we're never gonna be a purely productized solution. Your QuickBooks Live bookkeeping, your Bench, TurboTax, those impersonal services that are designed to scale and be inexpensive. We're never gonna build a platform that will do all that stuff more efficiently than they will, right? And so my service delivery, it still needs to remain personal, flexible. If I'm gonna start acting like a software company, being rigid and productized, I'm gonna do a version of what they're doing with a level of investment that's just not even close, right? So in my firm, we would do pretty customizable stuff. The notion of a single static bronze, silver, and gold plan that was the same for everyone that ever walked in the door, that never would have flown in my firm. And so instead, what we ended up with was here's the 10 services that we deliver, and each service had 2 to 4 different service levels. So you did have a huge number of potential unique combinations of service levels. And in many cases, there was still a one-off thing we would do over there that was a little bit different. But that was the last 5% of the engagement. 100% of the engagement wasn't unique. It was the last 5, which meant that 95% could be done by anyone on my team according to our standard SOPs. So here is my structure, a hierarchy for how to get your arms around all this different work, how to reel in the sprawl. At the top level is packages. These are collections of services that I would present to a client in a proposal. Could be bronze, silver, gold, whatever you want to call those packages. Now, some firms go as far as making those packages static. Bronze for one client is the same as bronze for another client. That means the exact same thing for every client. That was never my approach. I would package unique solutions for a client that were a collection of services at specific service levels. This would solve the specific problems that the client had while still not overcomplicating it. So when they opened that proposal, it was a simplified, basic, medium, and premium option. But it was a collection of all the services and service levels we were going to provide them. So top tier was packages. This was what I would present to a client. Second tier was service levels. So packages were collections of service levels. A tax firm and an accounting firm example from this mega spreadsheet that's linked below. Maybe a bronze package for this hypothetical tax firm is Cleanup Bookkeeping 1 and Tax Preparation 1. We're gonna clean up your books once a year and then do your taxes. Maybe silver looks like Cleanup Bookkeeping 2, Tax Prep 1, and Tax Planning 1. 3 services in this one, but we're doing Cleanup Bookkeeping 2 now because we gotta review the books before year end to do a year-end tax plan. Those are just hypothetical bronze and silver packages. An accounting client example. Maybe your bronze package is just Cleanup Bookkeeping 1. You do that cleanup once a year. Maybe silver package is Bookkeeping 1. That's quarterly bookkeeping. Payroll 1, processing your payroll biweekly. And 1099 Prep 1, doing 1099s at the end of the year. Here's a gold package, another upgrade. Now we're doing Bookkeeping 2, that's monthly bookkeeping. Payroll 2, 1099 Prep 2. At that second service level, we'll go out and get the W-9s for you. And then Bill Pay 1. We'll pay your bills every week. That's the entry-level version of that service. So in this hierarchy, your tier 1 packages are collections of tier 2 service levels. Now, tier 3 is just our services, the services that we will provide. Bookkeeping, tax prep, tax planning, bill pay, receipt management, payroll, personal property tax return prep. You do a lot. Tier 3 is the service itself as further defined by the service level in tier 2. So if bookkeeping 1 is, quarterly bookkeeping, maybe bookkeeping 2 is monthly bookkeeping. Now, I won't go into great depth on tier 4 and tier 5 here. These are service items and the options for those service items. In short, they are the properties of a service that define how you deliver it. And in this spreadsheet, we've done the work of this for 19 common services that accounting firms provide, detailing out all of the service items and options that would usually go into delivering that service. So to show you a really basic example from the spreadsheet, here's the tab for the bookkeeping service. On the left are service items, kind of the variables or the properties of how we deliver a service, with options for each service item. We've got the service item frequency, with service item options annual, quarterly, monthly, maybe weekly. Platform, what accounting software we're using. QBO, QBD0. Excel, gross. Accounting method, cash, accrual, hybrid. Report package, what's the format we deliver it in? Is it like a reporting system? Is it the PDFs? Delivery method, email, Loom, Zoom. The close speed, how many business days to complete the close after period end? And then a multi-select, the financial statements, which ones are included? P&L, balance sheet, statement of cash flows. All the variables that go into how you deliver a bookkeeping service, codified by engagement. That's a bookkeeping service. We've got some other example service items that you could pull down below. We did this for 19 services. It's all in this spreadsheet. Again, link down below the like button. Think about it. So to give you an example of what a single client engagement could be, it's a package that the client has chosen that's a collection of service levels, with each service level having a set of service items that belong to it. So let's circle back to an example engagement we brought up previously to fully define this. A hypothetical gold package from an accounting firm. I'm delivering 4 services to this client: bookkeeping 2, payroll 2, 1099 prep 2, and bill pay 1. The service items under bookkeeping 2 are platform, let's say that's 0, frequency is monthly, intake method, how we get the info, banking self-service, we've got our own login, delivery method, Zoom, we're gonna hop on a Zoom call each month, and then close date, we're targeting the 15th. Those are the service items as defined for this service level, bookkeeping 2. Again, all this stuff is hypothetical. You can define what all of your service items are and the options and all that. I just wanna give you a concrete example and give you the structure. We go into the same level of detail for each of these other services that we're providing here in the spreadsheet. Now, inevitably, even with all this hierarchy, there will still be things that fall outside of your standard systems, especially day one when you're still reeling it all in. Because the goal is to get everything on rails, right? But there will still be stuff that falls outside of that. So how do we track the exceptions? I'm gonna tell you that in a second, right after this ad read. Roll the music. Makers Hub is the sponsor of this video, and they use wild AI vision models to automate accounts payable, but like actually automate it. Not like how they said for the last decade, we're eliminating manual entry. No, you really haven't. But Makers Hub, it'll like pull handwriting, line item detail, even learn the changes that you make so you never have to make the same change twice. And it's the exact sort of thing you can build a bill pay service around. And we've already done the work for you in the spreadsheet so you can swipe it. Take a look, here's the service items we identified for a bill pay service. Entry frequency, are you in there every week, every day? Payment frequency, same question. Platform, what are we gonna use? Get those other apps off of there. We're gonna use Makers Hub, of course. Volume, how many bills do you expect each week? Intake format, how are bills provided to your firm? Vendor comms, whether you're communicating with vendors or the client is. And W-9s, who's gathering those bad boys? Bill pay, honestly, funny enough, this was a super profitable service for me and my firm. In fact, I will link a whole podcast I shared on how to build your AP service from scratch. And the whole thing has gotten actually way sweeter now that AI is making meaningful inroads on how we deliver this service. Check out some of the demos we've done on this very channel about Makers Hub, and I'll link it below if you wanna learn more. This structure makes it so that at any of these hierarchy levels, you can define exceptions. But what I'd probably do here is in my practice management system where we define what we do for each client, at the service level, I'm probably just gonna have a text field that's a catch-all for any deviations from how this service is usually delivered, the one-off stuff. So if there's something that your service items haven't captured for you and how you deliver the service to that client, we're just gonna have a fallback place where you put that information. But again, that's like the last 5% of an engagement being unique, so that the 95% can be done the standardized way rather than every single client requiring their own SOP from scratch, right? Now, I will admit, this structure, it feels like a lot. Can feel a little sweaty. Does it really need to be this much? I don't know, in your case, maybe not. You could strip back layers of this, like levels of the hierarchy, to only include what you need. But what I found as I went deeper on all the engagements we were delivering, this level of detail and nuance, it was already happening. Even this system didn't capture 100% of the weird little fiddly things that we were doing, yet I was telling our team, keep building your SOPs for all this stuff. So, is this a lot? Yes, but it's representative of what's actually happening in most firms. Now, that's a lot of info. Maybe your head is swimming right now. We spent an entire week of this on the podcast, 5 20 to 30-minute episodes breaking down each part and walking you through how to actually roll this out with your team, get buy-in from everyone, make it feel like a group effort so that everyone understands what this service library is and will then leverage it going forward. Again, I think the biggest goal here is, without a system, everything sprawls. Every engagement takes on a life of its own. But with a service library, the opposite happens. Engagements will actually start to get more similar over time, and that is a huge win for your systems, for being able to delegate work that's not always unique. Totally worth doing. I will share a link to those podcasts available on YouTube and podcast players, as well as a link to this big old spreadsheet. Swipe it, simplify it if you need, but hopefully this gives you a helpful starting point to build your own service library in your firm.